Well, hello, welcome to take 2 of my question and answer video for 500 subscribers. And at the end, I'll reveal who won the giveaway, because I haven't actually randomized that yet.
First time around, this computer just stopped. The clock even didn't keep up.
Control-Alt-Delete did not work.
Yeah,
So here we go again, but it's fine. We were getting to a juicy question too, though.
Oh yeah, the question number 28, man.
But
Computer just was not ready.
But I figured I'd have Ryan here to ask me the questions and just, make it more fun.
All right. You ready for, I guess, what is now going to be the rapid fire round?
I guess, but let's get you in frame. Something. Stop leaving the frame!
Question 1.
He's the worst.
What's your favorite snack food?
Oreos, but probably chocolate chips, because that's what I have in the kitchen all the time.
If you could choose a mythological creature to have as a pet/friend, same thing, what would you choose?
Well, so last time we were talking about how on Twitter, someone was like, Appa or Toothless. If you don't know, Toothless is a dragon in How to Train Dragon, and Appa is a flying bison in...
Big ol' flying bison.
Big ol' flying bison picture right here from Avatar Last Airbender, and I was like, ooh. And I went Appa because of what I know about the whole trilogy for How to Train Your Dragon. And you went...
I left undecided because this isn't my Q&A. Who cares?
But
my thing was like, okay, well, Toothless, in order to fly, you have to have the leg mechanism because Toothless has a broken wing, and so you have to help him fly. Appa, there's a lot of less work there, but upkeep-wise, Appa might have way more upkeep as a pet.
Yeah, but imagine all the road trips and all the fun times and baby bison. Baby bison.
The road trips and fun times would happen with both of them, though.
Yeah, but I could take friends with
Question
them.
3! What are your favorite bands?
Oh gosh, I was really bad at this the first time around. Billy Joel. I really like Billy Joel.
You should say the Billy Joel band.
The Billy Joel band. He's not a band. I mean,
he has a band.
He has a band. I love soundtracks for musicals, a lot. I'm staring at my CD collection over there because I collect CDs because I'm a dummy because who uses CDs anymore? It's primarily Billy Joel soundtracks. We also like My Chem. I like Meatloaf's one album. I know he has more, but there's only one.
Bad Out of Hell. Great album.
Bad Out of Hell. I like the entire soundtrack to Umbrella Academy. That entire soundtrack is fire. So, yeah.
So one band was listed in that answer.
I'm not good at things.
Recommend board games or books to particular booktubers.
They're also YouTubers by definition.
I know.
It's circles. So Kayla sent this, and it's really hard, and I didn't prepare. But since I've had a little time, Kayla's getting the Dresden File cooperative card game. Wonder why? If you don't know, Kayla loves urban fantasy and the Dresden Files. I also have some space games, so I was trying to think of space people. So I'll go... Yes, those are the space games. And so I went with... Oh, gosh, I'm blanking on things.
I said Terraforming Mars before.
Yeah, Terraforming Mars. I'm going to give it to Justine from I Should Read That because she likes space books sometimes. And
you name drop Sanderson for somebody.
I don't think I... Oh, yeah. So Michael Knipp gets the Stormlight Archives Call to Adventure card game. And then I had Jashana C. gets Architects of the West Kingdom and Paladins of the West Kingdom because they give me very European fantasy vibes, which you like a lot, or at least you talk about them a lot. And yeah, that's it. I'm really bad at this question. I could make a whole video on it. It'd probably be fun.
Do you have a favorite scientific theory?
Quantum mechanics. That's not the theory. I think this theory is called the Standard Model, but I'm actually I'm not smart enough to understand the model. You have to take a lot more math than I have to really understand it. But I just love how nonsensical quantum mechanics is. How when you explain it to someone, they're like, that's not real, that's magic. And it's like, yeah. So.
If you had the opportunity to have a home library, how would you organize it, and what author do you think would feature the most?
Well, I won't organize it like my mother, who, if you're watching this is a call out. They have series on separate shelves, not adjacent to each other. Authors are everywhere. There's a mix of hardback and paperback. It's a mess.
That's probably what I do.
Shut up. You got mad at me when I was organizing my one shelf and I didn't have all the Jemison books next to each other.
Listen, it's either order or chaos. There's no in between.
That's fair. But speaking of Jemison, it'd be Sanderson and Jemison. Those are the primary authors as of this moment in my life.
Okay. How did you get your cat?
Oh, so the Poo test. I have 2 cats, but I assume you're talking about Poo Tao because he's the primary cat in my videos.
He likes the spotlight more than Lila.
He knows when I clap, because I clap to sync up timings with the audio, that it's time for videos and wants in my lap. It's pretty cute. But my friend in middle school, I was trying to think, how old was I? Left their garage door open and a cat came in and had a litter of kittens in a red wagon, and we basically took them all in and raised the kittens and gave them all homes and gave the mom cat a home, because the poor mom cat was like 6 months old. She was a baby.
So kittens having kittens.
Yeah, well, we think based off the litter and how the mom looks, it was a ragamuffin or ragdoll, like a breeder cat. And he wasn't fixed, because you don't fix the breeder cats, and just like got let out. But we kept one of them, and that Poo Tao's the one we kept, and he was my dad's cat and is now my cat because reasons. And Lila's just my 15-year-old kitten that I got because my mom's like, oh, the cats we all love are getting old. The kids will be crushed. Kittens! My mom knows how to parent.
If you could have any of your books signed by its author, which would it be?
N.K. Jemisin, of course, ideally of a not yet released or announced special edition version of the Broken Earth trilogy. I really, really want it. More people read it, so they reprint it very pretty.
Steampunk or cyberpunk?
We had a long discussion about what these 2 things are in the last clip, and we're going to skip that, and I'm just going to go steampunk, although I'm not opposed to cyberpunk, but I'm more comfortable in the steampunk genre.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
Steampunk gave us Will Smith's great movie Wild Wild West.
Is that true? Why have we not watched that movie?
No, we should. All right, so let's talk about The Matrix. The Matrix is a great cyberpunk book with a few, there's some other ideas mixed in, but it got a lot of its terminology from the book Neuromancer by William Gibson, which I read, and I liked it, but it was kind of a hard read for somebody who had only read like one other cyberpunk book previously. But The Matrix is actually a movie that Will Smith did not, he declined to do Wild Wild West instead, which is a remake of an old, I think, 60s show, and it is just a disaster of a movie.
I want to watch
But it is steampunk, technically.
Oh, so a better discussion than last time. Next question.
How much would someone have to pay you to get rid of your most beloved physical copy of a book and never replace it or read it again?
We decided in the last film that I'm going to scam them and ask for $500,000 because honestly I don't care that much. The book I would be the saddest to get rid of I've actually already read 4 or 5 times. And honestly, as long as I make at least like $200, I've made a profit off of it. So, going for $500,000. But there's just so many stories in the world that I'd rather lose one than only get to reread one. So.
What books would you use to represent yourself as a person?
Okay. I'm basing this more on characters. But it's mainly Hermione from a series by She Who Must Not Be Named. She was a big deal. Frizzy-haired, book-smart girl. That's me. And that was a big deal, actually, for my confidence growing up, or at least to have some, or to, not be the most insecure blob in the world, to, have a popular character in fiction who was allowed to be a nerd. And, yeah, maybe she got made fun of, but it was still seen as an attribute that was positive. So, yeah, I didn't really like when she got glammed up in the 4th book. I thought that was a cop-out. And I don't mind that they, made Emma Watson's hair. Is it Emma Watson or Emma Thomas? I don't know. There's too many Emmas in
Watson.
I didn't mind that her hair became less frizzy as the movies went, but it became less relatable to me. And then a bunch of Sanderson characters. Serene from Elantris, Shallan from Stormlight, Steris, all the S names. Steris from Bands of Mourning and the Second Era Mistborn. They are all very strong women who are also not quite your typical mold for being a woman, and that's important for me. But my goals are to get to Yasna level in the Stormlight Archive, and I'm approaching Yasna levels. So yeah, that's I think where I'm at.
And this question is from somebody relatively new to your channel. What do you do for work?
I'm a grad student trying to get a PhD in biophysics, and that's all I really want to say about it, because grad school is not good for your mental health.
Angela, how is your PhD going? Is a question you shouldn't ask her.
Never, please. Love of God.
If you were a published author, what genre do you think you'd actually write in?
Okay, so I want to say this. I have no writing aspirations. I'm like not actually very confident about my writing. Actually, even writing my captions for these videos, I'm like, I don't talk in complete sentences. I'm the worst. I'll start a sentence and jump off the train and go somewhere else. But
Just write a book about trains.
no. I mean, real talk, if there was ever a book I'd write, it'd be like a memoir, and my sibling and I would co-write it, and it would be a lot, but it'd probably be super cathartic about our life. It's a roller coaster of a story. But I would, if I was capable and had the time, like if I lived in a world where money didn't matter, do research and try to write a Latin American inspired like fantasy or fantasy sci-fi book. I think that'd be fun with like mythical elements. Like I know so little about like, so I'm Venezuelan, about like Venezuelan mythology. Like I don't know if it was Incan or Aztec that might have been there. It might have been something else. What was between that and now? I don't know. I'd like to learn more about that and in the process then add that into the genres I love.
Do you have any favorite classic authors?
We decided I like a lot of classic sci-fi for some reason. So
Frank Herbert,
Isaac Asimov, Philip K. Dick, Ursula K. Le Guin. Am I missing any? I don't know. I like George Orwell.
Yeah.
I like George Orwell. I don't know if I like Ray Bradbury. Is he the one who wrote Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
I've only read that one, and I don't know if I liked it enough to read more of him. But I like classic sci-fi. Like, I know it's not as character-driven, but I at least like the thought-provoking questions that are brought up. And at least it's straightforward and written. Like, some classics, like Wuthering Heights, I'm just like, whew. There's two Catherines, and they're not the same person.
Yeah, I'm a big Philip K. Dick and Kurt Vonnegut fan to, chime in on that. When are you getting your next cat?
Realistically, not for a while, unless you have plans.
I don't.
I mean, real talk, if one of my pets passes away, I will get another one so the other one has a companion, but until we don't live in apartments, no. And then we want a dog.
Yeah.
So.
I'm more of a dog person than a cat person.
You say that, but my cat loves you.
Yeah. That doesn't, both sentences can be true.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much I love my dog.
That's true. It goes Goldie, me, my cat.
I didn't actually have a pet until, I know, this is my Q&A now. So I actually didn't have a pet until I was 19. When my parents just so happened, like my mom, one of her friends just happened to have their dog have puppies. And so we just got one for like $20. Like had to, got all of her shots and brought her home. And so.
Speaking of old girls, my old girl's down here.
Yeah.
I pick her up, but she doesn't like that.
She hates it.
No, she doesn't like that.
Hey, so when is your boyfriend going to make another appearance on this channel?
You're here right now, and he has done a review that you might have seen before this. It depends on editing Angela, what she's decided.
Yeah.
But you did Gone World? Was that the book?
Yeah, The Gone World. I'm like that one, when you ever watch like an old like sitcom, and there was always one character you swear was always on the show, but then you look up like on IMDb and they were only in like 10 episodes out of like 1,000. That's me.
We just need to get him to read more.
What is your favorite wild animal?
Oh, we both like cheetahs, right? That's what we decided in the last
fast.
one. Cheetahs go zoom. That's it. That's our basic answer. I feel like that's the basic.
What was
answer.
What was your favorite book during childhood?
Oh, I talked about 2 series because just assume that I liked She Who Must Not Be Named series growing up. Of course, I loved it. Moving on. Bailey School Kids and Replica. And you actually recognized Bailey School Kids when I recognized
Yeah, Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots.
Yeah, these are great short chapter
You don't
books.
forget a name like that.
It's a great series where each one the kids are trying to convince or unconvince themselves that one of their teachers is like, or adults in their life is a supernatural creature. And it's great. I also really liked Matilda. obviously. Matilda's another one that's a part of who I am.
Matilda slaps.
Matilda's great. Matilda's timeless. I should have read more by that author. I've
Yeah,
not
I
read
love
anything.
is that Road Doll?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't read anything else by him.
You haven't read The Witches?
No, I need to read those to my kids. When I have kids, I'll read those. And I also really like Replica, which is a sci-fi middle grade, which, like, you ever, like, read a book as a kid and you're like, oh, they look so old, and then you look at the covers and you're like, oh my gosh. Well, here's the cover for you guys, and, yeah, that series has 30 plus books, and that was my Animorphs. So.
Yo, Animorphs.
I never read it. I never got into it. Replica was just my shit, because it had Amy, who was Amy number 7. She was a clone, and she was very powerful. It was really intrigue heavy. And then she found out there was a male version of her, and then there was some romance. But not really romance, like middle grade romance. Like...
Beach House or Mountain Lake House?
Mountain Lake House.
I would agree with that. Favorite mythical creature?
Pegasus, but the Hercules Pegasus, like the animated movie, not the, like, chop off Medusa's head and she becomes a Pegasus.
That's what they're from?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's when the Gorgons got killed by Perseus and a Pegasus came forth from Medusa's body. I'm pretty sure. This is worth refilming.
There's gotta be an easier way to reproduce. Who wrote that myth?
Greek myths hate women. Like, they hate women. They hated women so much, they were like, Zeus needs to be able to procreate without a female. And Athena was born.
Top 3 favorite foods.
Oh god. Chocolate anything was one. Like brownies, chocolate chip cookies, chocolate chips, dark chocolate, discs from Taza. Great. Second one's pasta anything, especially if we have cheese. Like mac and cheese is real good. Pasta with like a tomato sauce is good. No pasta with Alfredo. Not big. And the third one we decided was sushi, although you did put an honorable mention for steak, because I do love steak. I am from Ohio. Cows are everything.
Yeah, shout out Taza Chocolate in Somerville, Massachusetts.
Taza Chocolate's great. You can get it on Amazon. It's also vegan, if that matters.
Yeah, super good chocolate.
Super good.
Based on pure aesthetics, what's your favorite pride flag?
Non-binary. That's the one I like, because it's like yellow, purple, and black and white. I just think it's pretty.
I like just the rainbow. You know.
R put this in just so I would shout out their flag. They know which one's my favorite.
Do you drink Gatorade, and if so, what's your favorite flavor?
I don't. And this is where we went into a tirade about something called Gator Pain.
So Gator Pain is when you mix Gatorade and champagne. And we weren't a part of this because we were with her friends for New Year's last year, but my friends decided to mix champagne with every flavor of Gatorade to find out the best flavor. And I believe blue or purple was the winner. I'll have to double check. You know, the next video I'll update. But yeah, that's
Yeah, but I just as a kid always thought Gatorade was such a lie. Like, why make something colorful unless it tastes good? And it doesn't taste good. Also, the cat showed up.
Yep, he does that. I'm boring. I just drink lemon lime.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's my favorite flavor, but it's like my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
Tea, coffee, both or neither. If you like tea, what is your favorite kind?
No coffee. Somehow I made it through college without coffee, and why start now?
I didn't.
Yeah, well, you're the norm. I'm not in this case. I do like tea, but I don't drink it often. But recently I've discovered this chai latte mix from Costco that's super cheap and super caffeinated. So great for when I have insomnia, but I try not to drink it all the time because caffeine dependency is real. Leads to some headaches when I don't drink it. So, but I like chamomile, chai, herb stuff.
Yeah, I like green tea a lot.
Yeah.
What part of physics are you most excited to teach?
Electromagnetism, because a lot of our world is based off electrons and how they interact with our surroundings, and that's why our computers work, why our lights work, why everything works, and I think that would be super fun to teach, and right now I think it's taught atrociously.
Who's the biggest asshole in all of Greek mythology, in your opinion?
It's Zeus. It has to be Zeus. He has to be. He has no idea of consent. He just forces himself into women's lives, and then when his kids are born, he's just like, hey, sorry, you're related to me, and now you have to go on this stupid hard quest. Like, stupid hard. And like, oh, sorry, my wife didn't like that I slept around, so she basically made you kill your wife, and now you have to do all these trials. This is Hercules' story.
What even were those quests for? Like, they didn't get to go to Mount Olympus. They didn't earn his love.
He's
Like,
an asshole. He's not a good dad. This is why Percy Jackson exists, by the way, because Greek gods are not good people. What's next? Oh, we're catching up, guys. We're almost in new territory.
Now we're caught up to where the computer just couldn't handle
all of this.
Just how hot and heavy this question is. Do you have an OTP? If so, who is it?
Now, first of all, I'm old and I had to look this up. But it's apparently, what is it?
Only one true pairing.
One true pairing. And then I was like, I don't know, do I have one? And you reminded me
of Harry and Hermione.
Yes, Harry and Hermione should have been together, at least in the movies, for sure. We rewatched them before J.K. Turfling just showed up.
Yeah.
It had to be that way. But when you watch the movies, it's so obvious that they should be together. In the books, I actually do like Ginny and Harry. Like, it's fine. But because the movies really shat the bed on that one.
Yeah, they just didn't establish Ginny as a character.
Like, Ginny is so cool in the books. Anyway, so it's Harry and Hermione. I also have vested stakes because I liked Harry growing up, and I am Hermione, so, I am projecting.
And, as a white guy who has things just kind of work out for me, I relate to Harry. How/when did you decide to pursue a career in science?
Oh, gosh, we're going to do questions. I have to think now.
Yep.
Oh, gosh.
We've broken the barrier.
How/when what? Oh, did I decide to pursue a career in science? Always. I don't think there was a moment well, no. For like a minute in 5th grade, I was like, I could be a lawyer. And then I realized, that'd make me sad all the time. But I am sad all the time. So, really, what's changed?
2020 vibes. Are you from a family of readers / what inspired your love of reading?
It is a family of readers. We all share books all the time. You've seen my bookshelves that my mom has there. Well, a bookstore went out of business and they had floor-to-ceiling wooden bookshelves. My mom bought 4 of them, actually. There's one in my bedroom. It's not actually my bookshelf, though. It doesn't have anything of mine on it. Yeah, gosh, I mean, I grew up in a world where I had books in my crib. I couldn't read them, but I wanted them there. I think once I wanted to read outside of like my age group, I was reading like the Cat Who series. Like, it's a mystery series with 2 cats in it. Like, my family had all of those. So yeah, a family of readers for sure.
Yeah, I do not come from a family of readers. My mom's a pretty big reader, especially now because I bought her a Kindle like a few years ago, and it took her like half of a year, but she finally started using it, and now she's like glued to it. But no, I did not come from that environment at all. I didn't start reading like as something to do in my free time until after college.
Oh, and I have a fun little story. So my stepdad's also a huge reader. And so when my stepdad was like courting my mom, I've known my stepdad my whole life, so this whole thing was like a rom-com that we all saw coming. It was really cute. But we went out to dinner, and my grandma always has to pay. She just does. But my stepdad wanted to pay, because he wanted to pay. And there was this war between who would get the waiter to get them the check. And my grandma got the check, because she was the older person, so they listened to her. And then he went into said bookstore that was still open at the time and bought every single book by my grandmother's favorite author and gave her all of the books. So that's my family, guys. That's how we get back at each other. We're not allowed to buy books the month of our birthday.
Have you read any books? Have you read any books set in your home state? Ohio.
Well, she put OH, and then I was supposed to go IO.
You want to do a second take of that?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
If you don't know what Ohio State is, it is a college full of tradition. But, yes, I have 2 off the top of my head. One is Little Fires Everywhere. It actually takes place in a town next to mine, Shaker Heights. I grew up right next to it. You've been to Shaker Heights unknowingly. That book really does describe Shaker Heights well, and yours truly is a great diner. You had the not-so fries there. They're good.
Super good.
Yeah. And another one is a classic, actually, by Toni Morrison. She was an author in, L'Oreal, Ohio. It's an L city up west of where I'm from. And The Bluest Eye is about, I think it's post the Great Depression or right in the Great Depression, Ohio, about a girl going to school. And she just, really wanted people to think she was beautiful and be included, and she thought if she had blue eyes, that would fix it, because she was a black girl with brown eyes, and even her family didn't really like her, and it's a sad story. But both of those take place in Ohio, so, and I recommend both of them for different reasons. What are you looking up?
Books set in Massachusetts.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
You got, like, all of
There's
Lovecraft.
The Crucible.
Oh, gosh.
There's Mystic River, which is, like, the saddest... Like, I haven't read the book, but it's, like, the saddest movie I've ever seen.
You also got Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, we got some...
Don't you have all of Lovecraft, though? Like, he was big on New England.
Yeah, but that's New England versus Massachusetts. I don't know if it was
I don't know. You guys have so many things.
All right. I'm not... This isn't my Q&A.
Or is it?
Nope. Just that one time. What was your most memorable vacation?
Oh, God.
Was it the one where you got stuck in an airport for like an entire day?
No, it's my most memorable layover. No, honestly, I didn't have strong memories back then. I was only 10.
Oh.
I just remember that layover because it was an experience. But that's not what this question is.
I was gonna say, I've heard that story. I haven't heard any vacation stories.
I think Spain. So when I was in high school, I was very good at clarinet. I'm not anymore. Back then, I was very good. Good enough to go in like with an honors band to Spain to perform. And so I got to go with a group of people where like, I am not the popular girl. That's not who I am. But I was the popular girl in a group full of band nerds, which is a new place to be. So to be popular and to have your friends and go to Spain and literally, like, we didn't do anything crazy, but as long as you showed up for the performance, you could do whatever you wanted. And so we just traveled all across southern Spain into Portugal, and like those were that was 2 great weeks. It was wonderful. And it was also during the 2010 World Cup, and Spain won that year. So that was like insane. So I got to play music, which I love, with people who I love, and it was a great time.
Favorite meal to cook?
Do I cook?
I like your jambalaya a lot.
Yeah, that's your favorite for me to cook. Yeah, I mean, I like cooking once I'm cooking, but...
What's your favorite meal of mine that I cook for you?
Oh, you cook so many good things.
It's like 4 things.
I like when you make me home fries. They're really good. No, I mean, you'll cook anything I ask for. I do like when we cook together the machada.
We did that once.
Yeah, but I liked that. That was fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Top 3 countries you want to visit?
I want to go to Colombia. I want to go to Canada. I've been to Niagara Falls, but that doesn't count. And I want to go back to Spain because I really like Spain. What about you?
I want to go back to Canada because I haven't been since 2007. My mom's from Nova Scotia. Scotland has been on the short list. I haven't put a lot of thought into countries. It's more states that I've wanted to visit.
Okay, the third one can be a state.
No, it can't.
Okay.
I'm not breaking the rules.
Okay.
Not in my Q&A.
All right, what's the third one?
I don't know, maybe like Switzerland.
Okay. You chose very white places.
I'm a very white person. I don't know. I like the Scandinavian countries have always interested me.
Oh, instead of Switzerland, let's pick Iceland because I want to go there more.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everybody likes Iceland.
And Ava's
That's a
in
popular
Iceland,
spot.
and Ava speaks very highly of Iceland.
Yeah. Favorite animated movie?
I think it's The Lion King. I'm
It's
like
probably.
99% sure it's The Lion King.
I mean, that's the only movie you dressed up for to see a showing of it in a theater that we went to together. That was like one of our like earlier dates.
Yeah, that was a real test, me showing up in a Lion King skirt for a showing of The Lion King at the Coolidge Corner Theater.
Yeah, I have no such level of allegiance to an animated movie.
I mean, there are some really, really good ones. Anastasia, Land Before Time, Aladdin, but I think it's Lion King.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top. So this is the halfway point question, by the way.
Okay.
What are your top 3 board games?
All right, I got this because I know myself. Feast for Odin. They're actually not here. They're all at my mom's place because I play them with my mom. But Feast for Odin, which is a very complex worker placement game. If you don't know what that means and you want to know, I will tell you in the comments. Great Western Trail, which is, I don't even know what that game is, but it's great. You don't like it, but I think it's a great game. And then, what's my third one? I know my top 2 very well.
Maracaibo?
I haven't played it enough for it to be a top one yet. Might be Underwater Cities.
Yeah, you play that one a lot.
I like Underwater Cities. That's like a city building game. I like really crunchy strategic games. Like I like lighter ones too, but for it to be like my favorite, these are the ones.
You've mentioned moving. Do you have somewhere in particular you would like to move, or will you go based on where you get a job in your field?
I mean, obviously the second part's the real answer.
Yeah.
Like, where are they gonna pay me? But I want to move back to the Midwest personally. I don't. Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
I just want to not spend $500,000 on a fixer-upper.
Yeah, I this is my home state, and it's my, I have my family's here and mostly in New England, but I can't see myself wanting to spend the kind of money for the way houses are around here.
You spend so much money on a house you need to rewire. Like, yeah. It's a lot.
So.
And I'd like to own a house. I know you don't have to, but I'd like to.
Yeah. What do you specialize in while doing a PhD?
I feel like I already kind of said this, but biophysics, specifically structural biology. So you have a lot of proteins in your body, and they do important things. Proteins, imagine tiny little machines. Like you have one that like digests milk for you. It's like, oh, here's a lactose thing. We gotta chop it down. And if you don't have that protein, that's when you're lactose intolerant. But we don't know what all these proteins look like, and that's where structural biology comes in. And the idea is, if you know what it looks like, you can make, say it's an overactive protein, you can make a drug to stop it, or you can make a drug that will mimic activating a different thing. It's just, the idea is if you know what a machine looks like, you know how to make it work better or worse.
If you could be a misting or a feruchemist?
You read Mistborn. You should be able
I know,
to read
but
this
I don't.
word.
When I read the words, I don't say them out loud.
That's fair.
I'm on a train.
Which would you like and why? Feruchemist, because they can do, especially if we're talking like Sazed level, like I could store heat, and so in the summer I could be cold, and in the winter I could be warm. Yeah. No, I would definitely I think that's more OP.
Why did you decide to start a booktube channel?
I don't know. I talk about books a lot to Ryan, even now, honestly, but...
And I can only, give so much for books I haven't read.
And, I don't know, I like the project. I like the process of filming and editing. I think that was the big thing, is I didn't know how much I'd like filming myself, because, like everyone, I hate my voice. So I never knew if I could edit myself, and it wasn't that bad. And I like that it makes me feel productive, that I'm putting out something I'm proud of, and, while my actual work life is kind of crap, this makes me feel good. And I love books, I really do. So.
What is your favorite breakfast?
Ooh, when Ryan makes me waffles, eggs, and home fries.
I've never done all of that at once.
I know, but I like all those things, and they all happen in your kitchen. Next year it'll happen in our kitchen.
Yeah. What's one book on your reading bucket list?
That whole stack over there.
Sorry, I was petting a cat.
That's fine.
You know what? I'm not going to apologize for that.
It's fully good.
I guess I should first ask if you have a reading bucket list.
Oh, this is from a book circus. I don't.
I'm trying to think if I do.
You do. You, make lists every year, and you're like...
Yeah, but that's not a bucket list. That's just I do, a few minutes of research of things that
I feel like you have certain mental check boxes. It's I want to read the classics in this genre, and
yeah.
I think you have bucket list goals at least.
No.
Okay.
Bucket list sounds so planned, and that's not what I do.
That's fair.
Would you rather live near mountains, beach, or forest? I'd say mountains.
I say mountains.
I love mountains.
I mean, although mountains have crap cell service, but...
What book gives you a lot of nostalgia that you like to reread?
The Stormlight Archives.
I say, you just reread.
Yeah, Big Blue Boy.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because I've read that book since 2010, and I've been in very different points in my life in the past 10 years when I reread that book.
Yeah.
So, sometimes when I'm rereading it, I'm remembering, 2010 was a good year for me. So I remember all the positive things. And the second reread, I was not in a great place, but I remember it getting me out of the bad place.
Mm.
And the third reread is kind of less consequential. But, I remember these things in my past. And I also I really love the characters.
Yeah. One book I've been meaning to reread for a bit is Lonesome Dove. Because when I first read it, I remember thinking, this is the best book I've ever read. But I've read a lot of books since then, so
yeah.
I need a refresher. Favorite scientist, living or dead?
Oh Lord. um,
Shout out to the OG Isaac Newton.
no. He's more of a mathematician. He created calculus the same time as someone else did, but God, Albert Einstein's such a tool, but he did have a wonderful mind. But he's a tool.
I mean, if it's
you don't have to be an asshole to be smart.
Yeah.
That's a misnomer. I guess I'm going to go with Bill Nye. Because he is a scientist, he has a degree in science, and because he's been using his powers for good ever since I was a kid.
That's
like,
very
I
true.
aspire to try and instill the love of science in people like Bill Nye does. So, has he done anything revolutionary towards science? No. But
He's given it a platform.
Yeah, I mean, he has a TikTok. I don't even have a TikTok. I think I'm too old to manage a TikTok. What's next?
Have you always had the same reading tastes?
Yes.
Yeah, I more or less have to.
I mean, I've been reading fantasy my whole life.
Yeah.
Maybe the subgenres of fantasy have shifted, but, been reading fantasy a long time.
Well, what is it about sci-fi and fantasy that speaks to you?
Well, you see, it's not here. I don't know.
Escapism?
Not even that. I just, So with fantasy, I love world building and complex world building because I think that speaks to how I like to dissect our own world and figure out the universal laws of our world, right? So it speaks to me in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
For sci-fi, I like seeing everyone's crazy ideas and also the commentary on the human condition, sort of thing. I don't know. So I think they're really good ways of doing. I think fantasy also can do that too, where it takes the human condition and does weird things with it. So more so that's what I like from them now. I don't think I was ever the fantasy reader who liked the questing stories. I didn't like worlds that just had magic for the sake of it. I have always been drawn more to the Sanderson world building where it's very different.
As opposed to let's go from A to B and throw some magic in there and
yeah, it's not like that's a bad formula, but it's never been my thing. That's a lot of modern and classic fantasy is very quest based. So
how do you balance sci-fi fantasy with nonfiction or instructional reads?
So one thing I did even 3 or 4 years ago is I found a local book club that I knew wouldn't read fantasy and sci-fi. And this was back when I was only reading 4 books a month. So I figured, okay, one of the books I read a month will not be in my genre, and that will help me branch out. And it really has for both nonfiction, contemporary literary fiction, and historical fiction. Less for instructional reads, but I guess nonfiction can fall into that. So that's what I do. I do try to read more off my genre for myself, but it just doesn't happen all the time.
What is the best place as a tourist to enjoy local eats for where you live?
Well, when you're not in a pandemic, Orinoco is one of my favorite places in Boston. What's your favorite place in Boston?
It's tough.
Yeah, well, I'll tell them about Orinoco while you think. But Orinoco is the best Venezuelan food I have found in the United States. And it has 3, 4 locations in Boston. The one in the south end is the best one, but probably has the worst parking. And I love it. It has really good tequeños and arepas and empanadas and machada. It's great.
So Boston is in terms of city foods, it's not like a lot of other places that have a speciality. It's a very big melting pot. There's a lot of, depending on what neighborhood you're in, there could be a lot of Thai food, there could be a lot of pizza places, there could be a lot of sushi places, etc., etc. But I'll give a shout out to Penguin Pizza in Mission Hill, just because that's a favorite of my group of friends and I. Their pizza is phenomenal.
Also a good bar kitchen type feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those are 2 places you probably won't. They're actually not that easy to get to while you're touristing either.
Oh yeah, no,
you aren't going to go to Mission Hill actually, probably.
If you're being a tourist in Boston, do yourself a favor and get a Charlie card and just take the train around, because driving around Boston when you're a tourist is, I mean, driving as a resident is enough of a hassle.
Or just like Lyft and Uber or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Don't put yourself through the torture of driving through Boston. Which book series have you loved but never finished? Because if you do, that means it'd be over forever.
I'm not this person.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I've finished every series I've cared about that has an ending.
Yeah. Do you prefer big books, and what was the longest book you've read?
I don't know if I'd say I'd prefer big books. I definitely don't care how big they are. The biggest one I've read is Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. It clocks in at a real big number. It's the largest book I've read according to Goodreads. So.
Yeah, whatever the longest Game of Thrones book is, that's probably the longest one I've read.
I think that's Dance of Dragons.
Yeah. If you could only read one genre until the end of time, what would it be?
Ooh. And I can't just say SFF, can I?
That's 2 genres.
It's one genre if you go to a bookstore.
What are the rules to this question?
I know, right? If I can just choose SFF, I would. But otherwise, I
feel like you'd go fantasy over science fiction.
I don't know, man. There's so much to explore in fantasy. I mean, not in fantasy, in sci-fi that I just haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
And I'm picking science fiction because I really have read the least there, and I do really like it, but I feel like, not necessarily that I'm running out of fantasy, like there are new things being written all the time and still more things for me to explore, but also a lot of the stuff I've noticed I've been exploring that are new in fantasy also could qualify as sci-fi, so like, I could...
It's a blurred line.
Yeah, it's more genre blendy,
So, what's your answer?
Sci-fi.
Okay. What would happen if the Earth was moon-sized and the moon was Earth-sized? We'd all try to live on the moon.
Nothing good. I don't know the answer to this question. I forgot that someone sent me sciencey questions. We would be rotating around the moon.
Yep.
And the moon would be rotating around the sun, and our surface area would be much less on Earth. So I don't know how we're going to handle that as a species.
An apartment in Boston would be so much more expensive.
Yeah, that's what I've got. Yeah, no, surface area would be at a premium.
What are your favorite bookshops and museums in Boston?
I like the Natural History Museum in Boston. That's on Harvard's campus. That's
Museum of Science is my favorite.
That one is fun. I just like natural history museums.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Library?
Bookshops.
Ooh, Brookline Booksmith is the best bookstore. I love
great.
them.
And it's not in Boston, but I'll give a shout out to Longfellow Books in Portland, Maine.
Oh yeah, they're good too.
They're a great one.
I mean, technically Brookline Booksmith's in Brookline, but Brookline just pretends it's not Boston.
Well, it has a different like local government or whatever.
Whatever, it's right there.
If you could give your 6th grade self a book to stretch your fantasy reading, what book would you give?
I feel like I was pretty good at it.
I wouldn't give my 6th grade self anything because my 6th grade self hated reading.
6th grade self found his darkest materials. That's when I started reading that and Aragon. So I feel like I was doing fine.
Yeah, you didn't need any help.
I went to the bookstore. I said, "Hey, I liked Harry Potter, but it's no more books right now. What should I read?" And they were like, "Here's Aragon and had his darkest materials." And ironically, at the time, I was like, "Oh, Aragon looks so cool. Don't know how I feel about this girl and a polar bear." And I ended up liking the Golden Compass way more than Aragon. So. Because Aragon fell into those classic fantasy tropes that are just not my thing.
I never read it. And they were very big when I was a kid, but I never
dragons.
Read them. Yeah.
Elves.
Yeah.
I mean, it was impressive what he did. He was like 16 when he wrote that book. That's impressive.
If you were starting BookTube today, what would you do differently?
It's been like 6 months. I feel like I've gone at a good progression.
What have you learned? What would you like? Was there any pitfalls? Expanding on the question.
I guess I didn't know that there was such a big space on Twitter. I wish I would have like gotten to know people maybe before jump starting my channel, so I had more people to help boost me initially. But I've also liked my slow crawl growing. Like I both love and get nervous when I get shout outs because I'm like, oh my god, I have like 10 new people and they don't know what they've signed up for. So I don't know. I think my mental health has been good, so whatever I've been doing has been the right thing. It won't scroll up anymore, babe.
I just like touching it. What is I'm talking about the iPad. What is an unusual book you would hype up to a reader?
An unusual book. I talk about a lot of unusual books. Right now, it's Nine Fox Gambit.
Mm.
Nine Fox Gambit is bananas. But it is so good. But it's so confusing. It's just bizarre. I don't understand it, guys. It's so confusing. I finished it. Don't know what happened, but I love it. There you go.
How do you make your videos? Scripted or unscripted? Google Doc planning, paper, or off the cuff?
It's a combination of things and depends on the video. So for like this one, I didn't script it. I gave him the questions. Here I am. That's a lot for certain tag videos where I know I don't have to be as prepared. For TBRs, I do write out a list beforehand. For reviews, I outline it, but I don't make a script. I more just am like, okay, this is the flow you're going to try and go for. Here are the main points you want to make sure you don't forget so that if like halfway through talking I forget, I go look down. So I more outline than I script. Probably would be better if I scripted, but I'm not good at that. And so, yeah.
Whenever I do like these kind of videos, I just show up.
Yeah, when you do your reviews, you take notes.
I do. I take notes for the reviews, but I try to like, at once record, it's like, all right, how do I add chaos to this? Let's. Okay, are there any tags, challenges, readathons you're looking forward to after July?
I'm bad at readathons. Tome Topple's happening in August. I'm very happy about Tome Topple. It's happening when we're going to New Hampshire. It's 2 weeks where you try to read as many 500-page books as you can. That is cat hair.
Yep.
And so I'm excited for that. This year I'm actually going to be prepared. I've missed the other 2 rounds. But I'm bad at readathons unless they're like month-long. Because I'm like, I can read maybe 3 books a week.
This next question is going to be very easy, which is why I chuckled. Is there a problematic book you like?
Yeah.
I guess the book's not problematic,
No,
but the author is.
Yeah. I mean, I think most of my problematic books are problematic authors. Because normally once the material... Well, no. Probably the closest would actually be A Court of Thorns and Roses, the trilogy. Because I do think there might be some... No, it's not even that. Probably the most... I haven't reread it, so I don't even know if it would hold up. But I did like most of the Twilight series, and that is problematic in its portrayal of Native American people, and in its portrayal of any type of relationship. So it's Twilight, actually.
Yeah, Lonesome Dove, what I mentioned before, probably has some problematic stuff in it. Because it's about, like, it's a Western, but
yeah.
It was written in the 80s by a white guy, so...
Probably.
Odds are.
Yeah, but like problematic author, and I liked their books. Hyperion by Dan Simmons, Ender's Game. Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's a new one. Thanks. Thank you.
What is a book or series everyone seems to love but you just can't get into?
A Song of Ice and Fire.
Is it time? Is it on time to unleash this take?
No, I just don't get it. It's like a 3.5 to 4-star series. I don't get why it's everyone's best of all time. It's fine. It's objectively fine, but it's boring and the pacing sucks and there are so many intriguing nuggets that you get that never get payoff. I don't trust him to end this in a good way. I just don't trust him.
Does anybody at this point?
I don't know. I'm sure some people do.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's one of them. I wonder if there's another. Yeah.
I like A Song of Ice and Fire.
No, he does. But you like political intrigue. I think if you don't like political intrigue, what did those books do for you? There's also no magic. Where do you get off calling yourself a fantasy book and you have like 3 dragons and like a red lady? And
There's also like whatever Brand can do.
Okay, those are 3 things and how many pages of literature? I want more magic in my fantasy. I'm done with... I've said this a lot recently. I'm done with the trope of magic is leaving the world.
Is magic leaving the world in that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they haven't had dragons forever.
That's dragons leaving the world.
Dragons were a symbol for magic. It's a classic thing. That's definitely what was happening there.
Mm.
And even the old magic, remember? Like, they were talking about how they were lesser and diminished. There was so much cool religion stuff there, too. Ugh, it has such good potential, but it's too many words. It's too many words.
Oh, now you're complaining about words?
I know, right? For someone who likes words.
Who is an underrated author that deserves more attention?
Gosh, if this was 2 months ago, I would say N.K. Jemisin, but I do feel like recently she has gotten more.
But still read N.K. Jemisin.
Yeah, still read N.K. Jemisin. I feel like recently she has gotten more, like, I mean, with everyone looking for Black authors to support, she's definitely a quality one. But yeah, before June, I would say that people really were not picking up all of her fantasy, and I think all of her fantasy is extremely quality. I have a video for that, if you really need to know which ones to pick up. But I love all of her novels. I've read them all, and they're great. I'm trying to think of another one. The problem is before this year, I read a lot of popular things. So it's not like anything I've read is, like, that groundbreaking. So, yeah, I will say I've read one book by Karen Lord, and it instantly stole my heart. And so I will read anything that is out by her. I just need to pick out my next book.
Last year I read a book by a little-known author that I just discovered named Agatha Christie. So if you haven't checked out any of her stuff, I would recommend it.
Such a troll.
No, I don't. To give a serious answer, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Just because, yeah, I'm the same way. I've read a lot of books that have been recommended by, websites and other people and stuff like that. So I'm never like quick on the draw for like up and coming authors or just underseen authors. So
yeah,
I'm not that good at that yet. What are some of your friends' favorite books, and do you think you'll read them?
My friends read what I tell them to read.
I have.
Yeah.
I want you to read more Vonnegut.
That's fair, and I will. I just have to.
And you have been, to be fair. You did just read Science of Titans.
I'm a good girlfriend. I read books.
I'm a good boyfriend. I reckon.
We're a good couple.
All right, don't brag. Don't get off.
No. Honestly, if a friend really loves a book, I'll read it.
Yeah.
I don't have anything off the top of my head right now that people have been asking me. Like, I'm not including booktuber friends. That list is too long. I'm talking about my in-person friends.
When we first started dating, I was reading a book about the Hells Angels that a friend of mine recommended to me.
That book was this long.
And it took me forever to read because I just could not get into it.
And that was the book between him and Mistborn.
Yeah. Yep. So she was frustrated because she's like, I really want him to read this book. Like, I need this relationship to work. And if it's going to work, he's got to read Mistborn and like it.
That's untrue. You were allowed to not like it and have to continue any further.
That's very true. But no, so that, I forget who, I don't know, that book was not my favorite.
I mean, I've definitely not liked every book my friends have had me read.
I don't know if that was one of my friend's favorite books. He just recommended it because Hunter S. Thompson wrote a book about the Hells Angels, and I guess that was written as a response to it.
I'm pretty sure if you rated books, that'd be like a 2 to 1 star book, and I don't know why you read it. Life's too short.
So was that book, but apparently it took me a bit. What do you prefer? Stories which have open endings left to interpretation, or stories that have well thought out, satisfying endings all wrapped up?
On average, the latter.
I like the former on average.
You hated the ending of The Memory Police on the first go-round.
Well, that's not... Well, the ending wasn't open to interpretation. It left the question of what are the memory police.
Yeah, it left an open-ended ending.
That's just something that the book wasn't focusing on.
Do you like the ending of the movie Birds by Alfred Hitchcock?
I don't really care about that movie.
Oh. I like Alfred Hitchcock movies, not the person. Obviously, he's kind of trash. But
it's actually the only movie of his I've seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know he's made classics. I know.
Rear Window is so good.
Yeah.
But no, I
like the ending to Inception. Like.
Yeah, I didn't like that. No, I mean, I don't mind it if I'm prepared. Like, if I'm prepared, I'm like, fine, I understand. But normally, I go into something and I make a contract with the story, like, okay, you and me, we're going through this together, and I need a certain result.
I mean, to circle back to the Memory Police, which we have a whole video on, I don't know. Like it took me a little bit to digest it, but I liked that book. I think I liked that book more than you did.
Yeah, you definitely did.
So,
I mean, I still liked it.
and for the grand finale, is there a book other than Brave New World that you wish you never read?
If you don't know, I don't like Brave New World. I think I already mentioned that in this video. There's a review for it somewhere. It's actually one of my most watched reviews, and it's one of the first reviews I put on this channel. People search for it a lot, apparently. That and The City We Became. Which I wish I had never read. Great Expectations.
Oh God, yeah, I hate that book so
It's
much.
so bad. It's not actually bad, but like that book ends where it started, and that's my least favorite thing.
I had to read that book in 7th grade.
I still don't get why they gave that to you in 7th grade. That is way too early. Yeah. But I had to read it in 9th grade. And also, honestly, it's basically like I've never read it. I don't remember what's happened, but it did consume hours of my life.
There's like an escaped convict, and is there a cake in that book?
I don't remember. It's like is it Pip or Pippin?
Yeah.
It's like and then there's the girl character, and like she's like kind of hard to get.
I just remember Miss Havisham.
Oh God, that's a name I haven't heard.
And like I only remember that name because somebody in my class kept calling her Miss Have This Ham.
So I don't know. There are probably more than just that classic. That's just the one that came to mind.
But if it weren't for Charles Dickens, we wouldn't have a Muppet Christmas Carol. So you got to take the good with the bad.
And on that note, and now we need to do who the winner is. Ryan, pick a number between 1 and 60. Ryan, what number did you pick?
22.
And that is R. R, you've won. I will have probably contacted you before this. But...
Make like confetti come down.
Oh, if I am good enough at editing, I will. But I'm not promising anything. So...
I am.
You don't know how to edit videos. Don't pretend.
I'm not. I'm giving editing Angela a job.
All right. Well, that's it for this one. If you made it this far, give us a smiley face or something, please. You're the champs. And like if you like it, subscribe if you want to. Bye.